Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The morning sun was barely peeking through the curtains when I stumbled out of bed, the remnants of last night's dream still clouding my mind. I shuffled toward the bathroom, my foot catching on something cold and hard under the edge of the bed. Bending down, I retrieved a small, intricately designed ring, the sight of which sent a chill down my spine. It wasn't just any ring. It was the family heirloom that my best friend, Alex, had tearfully told me he'd lost last week. The question of how it ended up under my bed gnawed at me as I turned it over between my fingers. Hours later, the ring's mystery still haunted me. I needed answers, and the first person I thought to confront was Alex. But as I approached his house, an unfamiliar car in the driveway caught my attention. The blinds were drawn, a sliver of movement visible through a gap. My pulse quickened as I made my way silently to the back, the unlocked patio door granting me quiet entry. The muffled sounds of laughter guided me, my stomach clenching as I recognized the second voice. It was Claire's, my wife. Creeping closer, the laughter turned into unmistakable sounds of intimacy. My heart hammered against my chest as I reached the bedroom door, pushing it open with trembling hands. The sight before me cut deeper than any blade could. There, entwined in the sheets I had bought for our anniversary, were Claire and Alex. The shock was palpable, a visceral punch that left me gasping for air. Claire. My voice broke the spell, turning their surprise into horror. Craig, Claire's voice was a desperate whisper, but I raised my hand, stopping her mid-sentence. How long? I demanded, my eyes locked on Alex who struggled to find his clothes. It's not what you think, Craig, Alex stammered, but I wasn't interested in excuses. Ignoring his protests, I turned back to Claire, her tears unable to move me. How long have you been betraying me? The silence was answer enough. With a cold clarity, I picked up the ring from my pocket, holding it out to Alex. You dropped this under my bed, didn't you? Quite careless for a thief. Claire sobbed, reaching out to me, but I stepped back, the ring dropping to the floor with a clang that echoed my shattered trust. This is far from over, I hissed, my mind already racing with the cold calculations of revenge. I left them there, the ring a symbol of broken bonds and deceit. As I drove away, the pieces of my shattered life settling around me, a plan began to form. I would ruin Claire's life as she had ruined mine. She would regret the day she ever chose to betray me. My thoughts darkened with every mile. This was only the beginning. The silence in my car was suffocating as I drove aimlessly, the images of Claire and Alex entangled together replaying over and over in my mind. Rage fueled my thoughts, sharpening them into a clear, vengeful plan. First, I would confront Claire and demand the truth, every painful detail. Then, I would ensure she lost everything she held dear. As I pulled into our driveway, the familiarity of the home we shared twisted the knife deeper in my wounded heart. I found Claire in the living room, her eyes red and swollen from crying, a stark contrast to the composed, deceitful image I had once loved. Craig, please, let's talk about this, Claire pleaded as I entered, her voice trembling. I stood there, looking at her, feeling nothing but disgust. Talk. You want to talk now? My voice was ice cold, my stance unyielding. She moved towards me, her hands reaching out in a futile attempt to find warmth in the cold barrier I had erected. Yes, I made a mistake. But we can fix this, we can. A mistake. I cut her off, my laugh bitter. Claire, a mistake is forgetting to pay a bill, not sleeping with my best friend. Claire flinched as if struck, her face crumpling. I'm sorry, Craig. I never meant for this to happen. Save it. I want the full truth, Claire. Everything. How long has this been going on? She hesitated, then whispered, 6 months. The confession was a blow I wasn't fully prepared for. 6 months of lies and deceit. The fury building within me found its focus. And why? Why him? Why betray me like this? It just happened. We got close, and one thing led to another, she sobbed, her explanation sounding hollow and pathetic even to her own ears. Close. I scoffed, the pieces falling into place. Close enough to steal from us, too. Claire's eyes widened in shock. What do you mean? The ring, Claire. Alex's family ring under our bed. Or did you think that was just a coincidence? I didn't know about the ring, I swear. Her denial was swift, but her shocked expression told me she had been unaware of that detail. It didn't matter. Her betrayal was enough. We're done, Claire. I want you out of this house by tomorrow. I turned to leave, ignoring her cries of protest. Where will I go? She called out desperately. That's your problem now, I called back without a backward glance. As I reached my office, I began to dismantle the life we had built together. I called my lawyer, initiating the divorce proceedings, and contacted the bank to freeze our joint accounts. Each step felt like a release, a weight lifting off my shoulders. I knew this was just the beginning. My plan for revenge was set in motion, and there would be no turning back. Claire had crossed a line, and she would learn just how costly that mistake had been. As I sat in the dark, plotting my next moves, I felt the first true sense of power since the betrayal. This was far from over, and I was just getting started. The morning after Claire's departure was unnaturally quiet. The absence of her presence in our home was palpable, like a void where chaos had once been. But this silence was merely the calm before the storm, as today, I was to confront Alex, the man who had betrayed me as much as Claire had. I arrived at his place early, the anger in my steps echoed in the brisk knock I landed on his door. He opened it, his face pale, eyes cautious. Craig, he began, stepping back as I pushed past him into the house. Save it, Alex. You've done enough talking behind my back, I snapped, my gaze cold and hard. He swallowed, his posture tense. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. I can't explain. You're right, you can't. Because there's no excuse for what you did, I cut him off, my voice rising. You were my best friend, Alex. How could you? Alex looked down, shame etched deep on his features. I'm sorry, Craig. It was a huge mistake. I never wanted to hurt you. Sorry doesn't even begin to cover it. I stepped closer, my voice low and menacing. You think you can just apologize and we'll go back to how things were? You've ruined everything, Alex. He didn't meet my eyes. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? I echoed, my laugh devoid of humor. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what kind of man you are. Starting with your job. Alex's eyes snapped up, fear flickering through them. You wouldn't. Oh, but I would. I think your employers would be very interested to know the kind of ethics their employee upholds in his personal life, I stated matter-of-factly, pulling out my phone. Please, Craig, don't. This will ruin my career, he pleaded, his voice desperate. That's the idea, I replied coldly, my finger hovering over the screen. After a moment's hesitation, in which Alex's despair deepened, I pocketed the phone. No, I won't do it over the phone. Confusion crossed Alex's face, and I continued, I'm going to tell them in person. I want them to hear it from me, to see my face when I explain what you've done. I turned to leave, his voice chasing after me. Craig, please think about this. We can sort this out. I didn't stop or look back. We're way past sorting anything out. From there, I went directly to my lawyer's office. The papers were ready, divorce papers for Claire and a series of demands for financial reparations based on Alex's betrayal. I signed them with a firm hand, each stroke of the pen severing the ties that had bound us. As I left the office, my phone rang. It was a mutual friend, already wind of the brewing storm. "Craig, I heard about Claire and Alex. Are you okay?" "I will be," I responded, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Just making sure justice is served." He paused, then offered, "If you need anything, just let me know." "Actually, there's something you could do," I said, an idea forming. "Can we meet? I have a favor to ask." Plans were set in motion, my network of friends and acquaintances becoming unwitting allies in my quest for retribution. As the day wound down, the pieces were in place. Claire and Alex had started this game, but I was going to end it, on my terms. The thought brought a grim satisfaction. This was just the beginning of their downfall. The final act of my retribution was set against the backdrop of a chilly, gray afternoon. As the leaves rustled ominously in the brisk wind, I stood outside the cafe where I had arranged to meet Claire and Alex together. This was it, the culmination of all my planning, the stage where the last play of betrayal and revenge would unfold. They arrived together, hesitantly stepping out of a car, their expressions wary. Claire caught my eye first, her face pale, a stark contrast to the determined set of my jaw. Alex followed, his unease palpable in the tightness of his shoulders. "Craig, what is this about? Why did you want both of us here?" Claire asked, her voice tremulous. "I thought it was time we all faced the music together," I replied, my tone deceptively calm. Alex looked from me to Claire and back, his nervousness clear. "Craig, whatever you're thinking. I'm thinking that you both deserve to know just how deep the betrayal went," I interjected, cutting him off. Claire blinked, confusion clouding her features. "What do you mean?" I took a deep breath, relishing the moment before the reveal. "You see, when I discovered the two of you, I was devastated. But then I thought, why not use this to my advantage?" Alex's brow furrowed. "What are you talking about?" "All the meetings I've had, the papers I've signed, the calls I've made," I began, watching as their anxiety increased with each word. "It was all part of my plan. Not just to get back at you but to secure my future, without any loose ends." Claire's hands trembled. "Craig, I don't understand. Are you saying you forgave us?" "Forgive?" I scoffed, my laugh sharp and cold. "No, Claire, far from it. You see, I orchestrated a little scenario. Alex, the job opportunity you received last week, that was me. I used a contact to ensure you'd get the offer, only it's not here, it's across the country." Alex's eyes widened, realization dawning. "You're splitting us up." "Not just that," I continued. "And Claire, the calls you've been getting from that recruiter? Also me. I made sure you'd be too good an offer to refuse, on the opposite coast from Alex." Their shock was palpable, their betrayal of each other written on their faces as they realized they'd been manipulated against each other. "But why?" Claire whispered, the hurt evident in her voice. "To show you both how it feels to be deceived, to have your world turned upside down by the people you trust the most," I said, my voice hard as stone. Claire looked at Alex, her expression one of betrayal. "You knew about this?" Alex shook his head, his own sense of betrayal mirroring hers. "No, Claire, I swear. I didn't know. And now, you both have a choice," I continued, stepping back. "You can go together, refuse the offers, and try to salvage whatever this is." I gestured between them. "Or you go your separate ways, each taking a chance on a new life. Either way, you lose each other." As they stood there, stunned into silence, I knew my revenge was complete. They had destroyed my trust, and in return, I had dismantled their future together. "Craig, please, don't do this," Claire pleaded, reaching out to me. I stepped away, my decision final. It's already done. Goodbye, Claire. Goodbye, Alex. I wish I could say it's been a pleasure. Turning on my heel, I walked away, leaving them to their fractured reality. The cold satisfaction settled in my chest as I walked under the gathering clouds, knowing they would part forever, their love lost in the shadows of their betrayal.